Welcome back to Insight. We've been visiting with Chris. She told us about her own personal story with an ACP and in your mother's situation and her accident. So let's talk about how we can begin the process for ourselves or loved ones. How's it work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think advanced care planning is becoming more of a cultural norm. There's movies on Netflix that have involved advanced care planning. More and more physicians are bringing it up in conversations when you go to the doctor's office, and not just for people who are chronically ill or terminally ill, but for us as healthy adults, opening up the door to saying, while we're upstream, let's have a conversation about your healthcare wishes. Let's have a conversation about who you would want to make decisions for you in the event that you might not be able to make your own decisions. And so I think it's becoming more mainstream in general, but with healthcare entities, and especially within the Fort Wayne community, where aging and in-home services and Parkview Health have made intentional opportunities to participate in advanced care planning. I think the opportunities are out there. People just need to be willing to accept that this is a safe conversation and an important conversation to have.
And you are correct. You don't have to be retired, of retirement age, to be doing this. As your mother's accident showed, it could happen at any point. We all know people who have had accidents at young ages. You still would like your healthcare wishes to be carried out. So you briefly mentioned a healthcare representative. Who should I choose to be that for me?
Yeah, I think that needs to be a real intentional choice, not just choosing my older son because he's my older son or my husband because he's my husband, but I want to know that someone is willing, right? I don't want to just assume that someone's going to be my healthcare representative, so I want to have conversation with them. I want to have conversation with them about what matters most to me, my values, my beliefs, my life experiences, and how that all might impact healthcare decision making. And I want to have those conversations over time. So it needs to be someone who's willing to engage in those types of conversations with me. If we're watching a TV show and something comes up, I could say, hey, if that were to happen to me, this is what I want or this is what I don't want. They also have to be someone who's willing to say what you would say in that moment that the decision needs to be made, even if it's different than what they would want for themselves. So if you have a tube in your throat and can't speak or have lost the ability to communicate because of your injury, you still need to be the loudest voice in the room. And the way to do that would be to pick someone who's willing to be your voice box at that moment of time. And of course, I would say the last thing is you want to know that that person is a person who's typically good in a crisis situation.
Not going to melt down.
Yeah, not going to tizzy easily, that type of thing. Those would be the qualities that I would look for in a healthcare agent, and not just assume that the people we think immediately would be the best choice.
What if I don't, let's say I don't get it done, what if I don't choose a healthcare representative? What happens then?
That's a great question, because each state has laws on who gets to make decisions for you if you don't have an appointed person. So in Indiana, we could have either a healthcare representative, a healthcare power of attorney, or a court-appointed guardian. If we don't have those, we actually have a hierarchy, a list that we go down to find the first person on the list who's ready, willing, and available to make decisions for you. So spouse, adult child, there's actually a listing. It includes friend at like number 8 or 9 on the list. So if you're in a partner relationship and you're not married, that person would be that far down on the list. All the people, aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody would come ahead of them. So intentionally choosing that person and making sure you've identified, I know that person has my back in that situation. Otherwise, we would go by the hierarchy, which may not be the best for you personally.
Absolutely. So are there I assume I need to put this on paper. There's some form or something I need to fill out.
Yeah, there are forms to fill out. And Indiana law changed on July 1st of 2021 related to the documents that we are allowed to fill out. Currently, you can go to the Indiana State Department of Health website and print documents. There are some national websites, 5 Wishes, Prepare for Your Care, where you can download documents, Aging and In-Home and Parkview, both on our websites we have the documents. They do not necessarily require an attorney to complete if you're just going to use the basic state form. There's witnessing requirements, but not even a notary on the basic form. At the end of this year, some of the law changes regarding what forms you can use and who needs to sign, but at this point in time, it's as simple as going to the website, finding your neighbors, asking them to witness, getting them downloaded, and then of course, if at the earliest opportunity, getting them to your medical provider, to your hospital, so they can get them into your medical record and they're a permanent part of your record.
If I do that, if I get them to my physician and then I have an accident and I'm taken to a different hospital, do they see those? Can they see those?
Yeah, so another great question. Indiana has talked about having an Indiana State Registry where they would be available. We don't have that yet, so my recommendation would be to have those documents in places that are obvious.
Okay.
I have a coworker, for example, who has copies of her advance directives in her desk at work, in her glove compartment in her car, in her bill paying box where her family knows, you know, that's where the important papers are. So your healthcare representative, you definitely want to make sure they have a copy so they can bring those forward if needed.
Well, Chris is a wealth of knowledge. She knows everything. I want to talk about how we can honor our loved ones' wishes, and we will do that when we come back.